and keep on top of everybody. And as you can see, my team are wearing them as well. So if you've got any questions, look for somebody in orange. Mel at the back there. Yeah, that's absolutely fine. Oh, great.
I've never actually organised a flood response team before, but when it kicked off on Boxing Day, I thought, what can I do to help? And it's all about using the skills you've got, right? I mean, you probably saw the floods on TV or maybe even firsthand, and that's when you'll likely have thought, well, I'd like to help too if I can. Me, I didn't know what I was doing, but I thought, well, if there's a way I can rally people round and organise people while this is in the media, that would be really useful. So I did what I knew best and set up my Facebook group after the flood. I invited everybody I knew, and well, I must have really hit on something because the response has been so much more than anticipated. But it's been this last week or so, it's really struck me how when the water dissipates, so does the media coverage, but it's actually after the water's gone down that people need the most help. So the Facebook group's been a really useful way for getting back in touch with people and saying, you know, you said you wanted to come down and help out, well, how about tomorrow? We could really use you. And so now, almost accidentally, we've created this amazing network of people that we can draw on in the days and the weeks and even the months after the flood. So I was just speaking to my colleague Tom, and we're now in a position to get down to some of the small businesses that were affected on Kirkstall Road. I think Poppy at the tagine machine could definitely use an extra few pairs of hands, so if you just head a little bit downstream, I'm sure she'll be very grateful. Thank you for coming down.
Hiya, are you the flood response team? Lovely. Can I just give you these gloves here? Thanks, just pop them on. Well, I'm really glad you're all here in Kirkstall. Thank you. Thank you so much for coming here when I know you've all probably got much better things you could be doing. I don't know where to start really. I guess the best thing to do will be to start clearing away the things that we know we can't save, which is a lot of it. I know, if I pass things to you, are you alright to pass them along, make a chain, and we'll pop them in that skip over there? Lovely. Sorry, I'm Poppy, by the way. Hiya. Hiya. This is my dad, John, and my mum, Linda. I remember them being given this. It was a gift for their 20th wedding anniversary from this family that we knew out in Morocco. Do you know, that was about the time that they both decided to quit teaching and start living the dream. The tagine machine. We've always loved Moroccan food, and my mum, Linda, is fantastic at all that Moroccan style of cooking. My dad, John, he runs the business. He chose the name. So Mum and Dad were down visiting me in Salisbury over Christmas, so we had no idea what was going on in Leeds until we switched on the TV and saw the news. And the first thing we saw was this aerial shot of a flooded road, and it was Kirkstall Road. And then the camera panned up, and there was the tagine machine. So Dad was straight on the phone to Sam, one of the waiters who lived just up the hill, and he rushed down immediately, but he couldn't get anywhere near the cafe. There was so much water, it just wasn't safe. This was my A-level art exam piece. It's a painting of the Menara Gardens at Marrakesh. I got a B for that. My mum, Linda, was always so proud of that. Perhaps more than I was. So anyway, we drove up from Salisbury through the night and we arrived early morning on the 27th of December. The water levels were still really high, so we had to wait most of the day up at Sam's house until the water levels came down. When we could finally get into the cafe, to see the damage for ourselves. Well, I didn't know what to say, what to do or where to start. For the first hour or so I just paddled round and looked at it. But then I guess you've just got to pick something up, start clearing away, do something, whether it's helping or not. The biggest problem is that the kitchen is in the basement. So all the ovens, the fridges, the freezers, well, all the sewers are backed up, you see, so everything's covered in. Well, it's all got to go. Who knows if we'll ever get this place back on its feet. But having you guys show up and help out, showing a bit of community support and not letting people be on their own with it, well, it really, really means a lot. Perhaps now we've cleared up a bit, we can start asking bigger questions like, what comes after the clean-up? I've heard there's a meeting about flood defences just across the river. Perhaps you could pop along and let me know if they say anything useful. Thank you. Thanks. Ta-ra.
Hi guys! Hi, you part of the flood response team? Yeah, okay. Can you let everyone get in? Okay. So, my name is Trevor, and me and my partner in crime, Bruce, have got a small presentation planned around the corner about floods and how we can defend against them through the use of water engineering. So, if you want to follow me and then pop down both sets of stairs, and then we'll go around and we'll try and find Bruce. Good afternoon everyone and welcome to Direct Line Insurance.
But we're not here to talk about insurance, Trevor.
No, indeed. We're here to talk about this, the River Aire.
To you good people, we may look like everyday office workers.
Businessmen, bankers, insurance brokers.
We may fade surreptitiously into the concrete and glass landscape.
But we are in fact...
water engineers.
I'm not sure about that one, Bruce. What about if it was, we are in fact hydro heroes?
It's a bit much, Trevor.
Right, sorry.
Our job. Hang on. Our mission.
Should we choose to accept it?
Our mission is to defend this city from that river.
Which doesn't look too scary now, but...
On Boxing Day, the highest water in living memory, the river came surging round this bend at a colossal rate.
Standing down here, you would have been completely swept away.
Well, no, they wouldn't, Trevor.
They wouldn't?
No, because we did our job, remember?
Oh, right.
You see, floodwater is essentially just high water, a water that's higher than we expect it to be. But we're able to defend ourselves through the appliance of technology.
Really complicated technology, which Bruce will explain now.
We built some walls that were higher than the water. We built them just last year.
Almost as if we knew this was going to happen.
Well, yeah, we sort of did. I mean, if you look over there where the water taxi dock is, you can see the darker brick is the old wall, and the lighter brick above it is brand new walls. And on this side, right where you are now, brand new walls.
Part of Leeds' very own £46 million flood alleviation scheme.
And the walls held. Over there around B&B, no water in the buildings. Job done.
But they did have some trouble here at Direct Line, didn't they, Bruce?
Well, yeah, but that wasn't our fault. The wall wasn't finished on this side because of the work on that new station, and yeah, a little bit of water did get in.
And flooded all of the car park down here.
It was Christmas, there were no cars in there.
Well, the poor security guard's car was a write-off.
But they were able to clean up and reopen very quickly.
No. Says here they opened end of June, Bruce.
What?
Yeah. 6 months to clean up the mess.
Oh, God. Well, let's hope they were insured. But seriously, folks, it underlines the importance of completing these flood defences. Further downstream at Granary Wharf and Colourist Dock, where the work wasn't finished, there were some serious problems.
And upstream at Kirkstall.
Well, yes, but...
But what, Bruce?
Well, Kirkstall isn't covered by the flood alleviation scheme.
Why?
Oh, we had a massive scheme planned, remember? £190 million worth of walls for the whole city. And what did the government tell us?
Dear Leeds, there is no money left.
Too expensive. And so we had to just scale down and stick to the city centre. But sometimes adversity leads to innovation.
Yes, it does.
You see, that original plan would have meant building a load of pretty darn high walls.
Isn't that a good thing?
Not if people want to see the river. And so we thought, instead of building all those walls higher,
could we make the river lower?
Elementary, Trevor. By taking out the old industrial weirs at Crown Point and Nostrop. You see, the weirs basically act like dams. They keep the water level higher.
And what do we replace these weirs with?
State-of-the-art, high-tech, collapsible, mechanical weirs.
That's right. Giant airbags that deflate when the water's too high.
Well, yeah, pretty much.
Can we do the demonstration?
Yeah, all right.
Hold that then.
Trevor, what is that?
Well, it's a giant airbag. And let's say that this is the weir and this is the water at maximum level, possible chance of flooding. But thanks to these that we installed in the weir, which let out air slowly or quickly, then the weir collapses and the water can flow back to normal just like magic.
Cheers for that, Trevor. Well, folks, we do have the technology to protect you.
It's just really expensive.
Yes, but since the floods at Christmas, the government have promised to send the money for phase 2.
Kirkstall?
And the rest.
Well, it's a pity they couldn't have found the money sooner, isn't it?
No, we're not politicians, Trevor.
No, we're not. We are Hydro Heroes.
It's been a disaster, I'm sure you've been hearing. Even now, some of these businesses are.
So, welcome everybody. I'm going to start with a question. What do you think of this place? It's all right, isn't it? Yeah, I like it too. It's all very new, all very modern. In fact, they only opened it earlier this year. I think they've done a very good job. It reminds me a little bit of the TARDIS, which makes sense in a way, what with the Dalek building just being over there. I'm not the doctor though. You can call me the gardener. In fact, I've just been trying to find somewhere to plant my little friend down here. Can you see any good spots for him? No, there's not a lot of choice, is there? I mean, that's the thing. It's all very concreted over out there. Even the planting beds by the side of the river, well, they've all got very shallow bottoms, so there's nowhere for the little fella's roots to go. Nobody wants a shallow bottom, do they? And that's the problem. It's all very nice, all this shiny metal and glass and plastic. It's all very nice, but it's all very man-made, all very hard. For example, if you imagine that this watering can is full of water, and you'll have to imagine, I'm afraid, because for health and safety reasons, we're not allowed to have actual water in the train station. But what would happen if we poured some of this water on the floor? Would you mind obliging me? Lovely. So what's going to happen to all that water?
It's just going to sit there, absolutely right. And eventually some poor cleaning lady will come along with an imaginary mop and mop it all up. Go in a bucket, down a drain, and before long it'll end up in the river. But what happens if we pour that water on this little fellow? What's going to happen then? It'll drink it up. It'll sink down into the earth will soak it up, and the plant will drink it up. They call that soft engineering, or you might just call it nature. But that's the thing, isn't it? If you give the water somewhere else to go, then it won't just end up in the river, and the river won't get so high. So what we need out there is a few more places where we can plant some trees, a few more patches of earth and grass. I mean, why are there so few green spaces in the middle of the city? After all, who doesn't like plants and trees and flowers? The first thing to do to mitigate flood risk in this city would be... Well, no. Actually, the first thing to do would be to get into an actual TARDIS, go back in time 300 years and start all over again. Give the river space to just be a river, instead of hemming her in with goits and channels, bricks and mortar. We've put the poor thing into a concrete straitjacket, so it's no wonder in a way that she gets angry sometimes. Now, I'd like to take you back in time a little bit, so if you'd like to follow me, we're going to head down into the dark arches.
Do you mind carrying my friend there? Service to Ilkley.
Just this way, ladies and gentlemen. So here we are in the dark arches. Back in the 19th century, the driving heart of the Industrial Revolution. Back when they thought it'd be a good idea to just cover the river over with a train station. And up there, upstream, up past the light at the end of the tunnel, well, up there you've got Keighley, Bingley, Shipley, Skipton, all the places whose names you hear read out on the train timetables upstairs. Because you see, the Aire Valley line follows all the way along the river, and the water, the flood water, is coming down from those places, down the valley into Leeds. So, if you imagine that Gerald here is the river network, where we are now, the main river Aire, well, that's the trunk. But further upstream, you've got all these little becks and tributaries, all the water coming down off the moors and hillsides, into the river, and then down into the city. So what we need to do is keep some of that water up there, upstream in the land. What we want is a water travel network that is the slowest, most frustrating, winding, stop-start journey that you can possibly imagine. Instead of what we've got now, which is essentially an expressway that funnels the water down into the city. So what can we do? Well, we could fill in some of the old drainage ditches up on the moors. We could plant some more trees up there. Create some natural obstructions, places that are designed to flood and hold some of the water. The solutions are all right there in nature, and it's an awful lot cheaper than building walls. So what we need is a little bit of networked thinking, instead of paving over our gardens to park our cars. We can't actually go back in time, but we can try and imagine a slightly more green-fingered future. Anyway, it's time for you to be on your way. Oh, and as you go, if you spot anywhere I can plant this little fella, you'll let me know, won't you?
Welcome, come on over. Hello there, hiya. Nice to meet you, welcome. Come on in, don't be shy. That's it, welcome, thanks for coming, welcome. Now, I bet you're wondering who I am, aren't you? Yes, of course you are. Well, it doesn't matter specifically who I am. Let's just say I work for an agency that gets a lot of flack every time that it floods. Now let's kick off by looking at an issue in box number 1. Would you mind pulling that out for me, sir? Right, what does it say in box number 1?
We need better flood defences for our homes and small businesses.
We need better flood defences for our homes and small businesses. Throw the issue. Ooh. Now, this is one hot potato for us to juggle here at the agency, because a big part of our job is deciding where and what to defend. Which parts of the UK to prioritise for new schemes. Whoop. and where to roll them out when we've got them. Because if we don't prioritise your area and you get flooded, well, understandably, you're going to be quite upset with us. So let's have a look in box number 2. What have we got there?
What does it say?
Don't let our taxes rise. We've all said it, haven't we? We've all said it. Go on, throw that in. Now, this is a bit of a tricky issue because flood defences are expensive. And as you know, it's you and I, the taxpayer, that ends up footing the bill for these things. When times are tight, it's hospitals and schools that get prioritised, not building concrete walls. But maybe we can cope if we use some more economical measures, like environmental planning, planting trees, filling in ditches, and generally retaining water in the ground upstream, that sort of thing. Let's have a look in box number 3. What have we got there?
Farmers want upland areas for agriculture.
Of course, and they can't farm land that's too wet, can they? Throw it in. Let's see if I can manage these 3 conflicting needs together. Oh, there we go. Yeah, not bad, eh? There we are. Although you can see the farmer's point. Some of these environmental schemes can be a bit more contentious than you'd first imagine. So, if we can't intervene upstream, and we've no money for defences downstream, well then, we're in a bit of a pickle, aren't we? Let's have a look in box number 4. I'm sure there'll be a solution in there.
Dredge the rivers!
Dredge the rivers, of course. Dredge the rivers, that old favourite. Oh, hello, he's keen, isn't he? Here we are. Dredge the rivers. Lower the levels of silt, lower the water levels. That'll reduce flooding. Bound to. Let's have a go. Dredge the rivers, right. Well, you see, the thing with dredging the rivers is it actually speeds up the flow of water, which increases the risk of flooding downstream. Also, it's bad for the wildlife. It's expensive, and once you start doing it, you have to keep on doing it all of the time. So let's have a look in box number 5, shall we? I am trying to sort of struggle a little bit here. Oh, I know. Why don't we dedicate an area of the UK and just flood that bit on purpose? Like somewhere where not too many people live. What does it say in the box?
Not in my backyard.
Right. Not in my backyard. Fine. Okay, very helpful. Thank you, sir. I'll give it a go then. Lots of issues to deal with, as you can see. There we go. Get that one for me, would you? Well, you see, the irony of this situation is that we at the agency, well, we don't actually have that much power to do anything. We're supposed to be consultative, despite what the media will have you believe. When we want to get any plans put into place, we have to work with lots of different people. Like the local authority, the transport agency, local landowners and small businesses in the area, that sort of thing. So what I'm trying to say is, even though the media present it as such, it's not that simple. Well, anyway, thank you ever so much for coming. It's been great to be. Oh, hang on, I'll just anyway, it has been lovely to meet. Hang on, just right. No, it's good. If you just head down, yeah, that's right. If you head down this way, hang on. Lovely to meet you. Take care. Have a nice day. See you later.
Hello, I'm Linda, and you're the lovely people who helped out my daughter Poppy at the cafe. It's just over 9 months since the water came flooding into our little restaurant, the Tagine Machine. I'm sure you all saw the dreadful pictures on the news. But today, all across Leeds, waterfront looks very different. The river doesn't feel quite so much like the enemy anymore. Starting to make friends with it again. We thought you were so good to us helping out in the cafe. We'd like to give you a little thank you. So Canal Connections have lent us the boat. We can't actually take you for a river trip, but we can offer you a drink of juice and a sit down after all your walking. If you'd like to follow me and come aboard.
Thank you. Hello, nice to meet you.
Yeah, good, yeah.
Nice to see you. Come in, have a seat.
John and me very nearly called it a day at the Tagine Machine. The clean-up was bad enough. But then after the water receded, we were inundated with paperwork. Insurance claims, health and safety, risk assessment. For me, that was the very worst bit. Even worse than scrubbing sewage off the walls. Honestly, it felt like we were drowning in paperwork. But we had so much goodwill, so many kind messages and offers of help and things like that. It made us determined to open the restaurant up again this autumn. It's a big risk, of course. What about our regulars? Will they come back? Or will they have found somewhere else to eat? And then there's the insurance problems. To be fair, the insurance company did pay out for just about all the kitchen equipment. But what about next year? What are the premiums going to be like? Will we be able to get insurance at all? We know some people who've closed down their businesses since the flood. Who could blame them? But one thing that we've been looking at is making the place more flood resistant. Tiled floors, waterproof grouting, tiled walls, and all the electricity points raised up above shoulder height. And then, I'm stupidly excited about this, a stainless steel bar, so that, God forbid, if it happens again, we can just wash down and sterilise. It's about adapting to change, isn't it? That's how human beings survive. And actually, I think that's been happening across the whole community. You know, I know other people in the district, in the businesses and living in the area, so much better than I did before. And I honestly think, if it happened again, I think we could respond quicker, be more help to each other. Almost as if the flooding has drawn us together as a community. Back in the summer, the Community Arts Centre organised a riverbank clean-up day, you know, to deal with all the flood debris and the rubbish that had collected in the trees and the bushes along the riverbank. A great big group of us went down and spent the whole day. And at the end, you could really see the difference where we'd been. Then in the evening we had a big party. Bands, dancing, a few drinks. Oh, it was lovely. Never let a good crisis go to waste. That's my favourite Winston Churchill saying at the moment. So I'm going to propose a little toast. Here's to sharing a lovely day together on the riverside.
Cheers.
Thank you for listening to our stories.